Let me alright, let me put all these lights in. I think I've been farming glowstone. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Hey, is it getting brighter if we take off the leaves? Do the leaves block the light? Maybe the transparency is a little bit off. Builder says, what else did you study? Not what else did you do while you were at architecture school? No, I studied architecture. What do you mean, what else did I study? Architecture degree is a full-time degree. Builder says was the undergraduate. It was undergraduate and then it was postgraduate. Uh, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then there. Builder says all postgraduate studies were around architecture. That's a lot of math. What do you mean? Architecture is not math. Well, I mean, there is math. Architecture is a lot of things. There's a design, there's structure, construction, there's a bit of business and a bit of law, history, art history. Architecture is one of those things where you have to know a bit of everything. I'm just thinking. It's possible that the lights, like it would look less dark if there were fewer lights. That's possible. Because the lights, they adapt, right? Well, maybe not. If you have HDR, and then you're in pitch black, then supposedly it's supposed to simulate your eyes adjusting to the dark. You know what? Let me just. Oh, I see. There's a beehive here. That's why I can't see what's going on. It's probably not enough. Maybe it's not enough rays. Buddha says, did you practice architecture after you did all your studies? Not really. Not really. Did a bit of part-time work. I went on to a PhD, and then I didn't teach. The thing is, I studied architecture more more because I was interested in a lot of different things. Not because I wanted to build. Although, I mean, I do enjoy building in Minecraft. But like, I'm more interested in socio-economic issues than like building individual buildings, if that makes sense. Alright, what are we doing? So we have doubled our or like more like quadruple the lights, it doesn't really help, which is kind of interesting. Maybe they deliberately make the trees darker to make the forest more spooky. Builders says, what about the cost of education and loans? I don't live in the US, Builders. I don't know if you've. I live in New Zealand. I mean, if you have to understand just how atrocious education costs are in the US compared to the rest of the world. Yeah, I don't. New Zealand has free education all the way to PhD. Not exactly free, but it is heavily subsidized. And my parents have a bit of money, not too much, but it doesn't cost that much to not have to take a loan. And then I did get a scholarship for PhD. Although I could afford it even if I didn't get the scholarship, but I got a scholarship for PhD. Like it doesn't cost that much to do university studies or even do a PhD in places other than the United States. Alright, so that's better. I'm not sure if that's great though. In the US, it will be a couple 100,000. Yeah. In New Zealand, it's like a tenth of that at most. A tenth of that at most. So, alright, another thing I want to do is I want to like build a box. I want to build a colored box and just see what happens inside the colored box with the ray tracing. We've got black terracotta. Let's start with black and white. I wish I had concrete because concrete would be more black and more white. But let's start with the terracotta because I have it. Where do I build this stuff? Here. We don't need this many torches here. How many torches do we need here? Alright, let's say this. And let's say Builder says, what are the earnings potential in New Zealand for that level education and architecture? Well, I mean, if you mean a PhD, you would be looking at a teaching role. So, associate professor, professor. I mean, you have to look it up. I don't really know off the top of my head how much it pays. Oh, I don't have enough terracotta to actually build a 5x5 box. Curious that it's already getting a little bit darker inside there. Oh, real-time shadows. Interesting. So it's not quite... Oh, I mean, it looks pretty black on the other screen. How black is this? Do you guys see anything at all? This looks kind of right. Builder says New Zealand PM do a good job. Pretty lit in all black. Uh, doing pretty well. We're gonna talk about politics? Do you want to talk about politics? So So what's I wanting to test? Lights. Oh, I want to test like a black box too. So the white box with the lights. Let me put the roof on. Right, white box with the light, and I want to test the black box with the lights. Because the black box, it should reflect less light inside the room, and therefore it will be darker overall. Not just because it's black, but also because, well, I mean, I don't know if you can tell the difference. Builder says service level, I don't know much about the economy. Is the government run well there? Fairly well? I mean, I don't have any complaints about the government. Do that. Man, you really can't see anything in the black, huh? Alright, I'm gonna put the roof on. This is really, really black. Even with the skylight coming in a little bit, it's super black. Alright, let me put that there, and then let me put this here. That up there. Interesting. The ray tracing. So the light, it goes pretty far in the white. And it doesn't go very far in the black. So the issue is that the trees are dark, probably. And so the leaves are dark, and the tree trunks are dark. And so the light's not really reflecting back into the space, and that's why the tree farm is so dark. Is probably what's going on. Builder says US East Coast here, federal government is okay, a lot of involvement past couple of years. Local government is slow, but usually pretty okay at what they do. The US political system. I mean, are we sure we want to talk about politics? I mean, in my opinion, I think the US political system serves moneyed interests a little bit too much and serves the people not enough. That's my opinion. And you know, New Zealand has two parties, two main parties, a number of smaller parties. One of the, I mean, I mean, it's the same everywhere. Well, not the same everywhere actually. In a lot of places, you have like the pro-business party, and then you have the pro-labor party, the pro-worker party. Usually, in the US, it seems like both parties are pro-business and nobody's pro-labor. At the moment, the Labour Party is in charge in New Zealand, and you know, if you can't figure it out, the Labour Party is pro-labor. Like maybe a decade ago, for a while, it was the pro-business party, the National Party, that was in charge. I mean, there's not too much difference between the two parties, except things like tax policy. But even the tax policy is kind of adjusting a little bit. What do I mean by that? So the National Party, when they were in power, they cut income tax and raised the GST, which is the goods and services tax. I'm going to talk about tax policy while I play Minecraft RTX. And the goods and services tax basically is when you buy something, you have to pay a tax, or when you sell something, you have to pay a tax, right? When you goods and services, it's a sales tax, and the income tax is income. And what that does is because everybody has to buy and sell things, like even if you like buy a loaf of bread, you know, buy half a chicken, buy a sandwich, whatever it is, you still have to pay that tax. Whereas the income tax, if you have like really low income, you basically pay no income tax because like if you barely have enough money to survive anyway, it seems unreasonable to tax you. So the income tax is a progressive tax in the sense that rich people tend to pay more than poor people because the tax structure is the higher income, the more percentage, the more of marginal income you have to pay in tax. Whereas the goods and services tax, the more you buy and sell, the more you pay. And the long and short of it is that cutting the income tax, especially he cut the national, they cut the top income tax rate more so than the bottom income tax rate. So they lower the taxes on rich people, and then they raise the tax on poor people. It's basically what happened. Builder says rich people are more productive with capital than poor people. No, Builders, capital doesn't. It's the poor people that provide the labor that allows the rich people to be productive with capital. What is capital? Capital is money. You spend the money to hire the labor. Right? Capital by itself doesn't do anything. Capital is only worthwhile because you hire people to work for you. That's the only way it's productive. One, two, three, that there. How is this? Oh boy, yeah. I mean, he started it, however. I asked you if you want to go this way, and Builders kept going. So here we are. Anyway, regardless of like what you think, like who you think is more efficient with capital, basically you have one party who will cut taxes for the wealthy and raise it for the poor, and then you have the other party, the Labour Party, which then cut taxes for the poor and raise it on the wealthy. And that's basically the difference between the two parties. But even then, it's only very marginal. It's only a little bit. Like you kind of like adjusting the tax rates a little bit. It's not really a huge difference. Alright, so with the birch, you can see the birch have white trunks, and it looks like the white trunks are reflecting more of the light back down. Well, I mean, there's no light down here. Or maybe they're just fewer trees, because the birch somehow, they don't seem to want to grow as much as the oak downstairs. Well, this is brighter too. This is interesting. So you'll notice that there's more light on the ground now. There's no light underneath, there's light above. So you see how this is brighter than this, significantly so. Alright, so I guess we just need more lights. Oak is still very dark because it's just thick, right? And everything's covered up. Builders US biggest difference between Republicans and Democrats today is globalism versus nationalism. Both serve corporate interests. Yeah, but even the globalism versus nationalism, I don't even think that's real. I'm not sure that's like a real thing. Yeah, no, like I agree with the wholeheartedly with the second half there, that they both serve corporate interests. Builder says It's not real. Because rich people make money either way, builders. Like, right? The big corporations, they just go wherever there's profits to be made. Right? The fact that, you know, you build a factory in China and you make money, or you come back and you build factories in the US and you make money. They make money either way. Builder says the past presidents of 20 years have been globalists up to Trump, who is a nationalist. Yeah, and then Trump's not there anymore, and then you have another globalist back in. Like Trump is supposedly a nationalist, but how much did he actually change? How much difference did he actually make? I mean he talked a lot, but in terms of like actions, did he manage to do very much?